What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be screen printing, just kind of showing you guys what I do in my basement with my DIY setup, kind of talking through some of those beginners that might be nervous to start screen printing, kind of give you guys that confidence, the same kind of confidence that I wish I had starting this process. I'm going to walk through a couple things that I wish I had known when I first started, and kind of the things to not necessarily avoid, but to just be cognizant of. You can find workarounds if you're on a tight budget. If this is something that you really want to do to have a lot of fun, I more than encourage it. There's just a couple different pieces of equipment that you can't really go without, but other than that, we'll get started. I'll have some music playing in the background that I made myself. You can check out my band in the link, and the band that I'm in the link description below on Spotify and iTunes. And so yeah, let's get started, and at the end we'll walk through some of the stuff that we kind of created together.
Alright, so the first thing that you'll need is an inkjet printer, and that is accompanied by transparency paper. And what you're seeing here is me printing out some of the designs that I want on that inkjet printer. And you'll need a transparent background on your Adobe Photoshop or Illustrator, whatever you're using, because otherwise it's going to bleed through, and you'll see through later in the process what I'm talking about in terms of that bleed through. And it's going to look something like this. It's very simple. You'll print that isolated image or whatever you want on your garment or poster, and it'll look something like this. Alright, so here we go, the bread and the butter. This is the screen, as I'm showing you right now. And this is the emulsion, which I'm showing you now. And what you're going to do is use a scoop coater, which I will picture right here, to apply the emulsion to the screen. And I'm doing a 1-in-1, so I'm applying a layer of emulsion on the outer layer of the screen, which is what's actually going to be touching the t-shirt first. And then I'm applying the same layer of emulsion to the back of the screen. And I'm not overthinking it too much, but in preference, or the preference that I have, I'm applying a smooth at probably about a 45 to 60 degree angle. So in this next step, what I'm doing is putting my screens in a light sensitive area. And what this is going to do is going to protect the emulsion from sunlight or any other natural light or any other unnatural light. You're going to want to let this dry for about 12 or so hours. As long as it's away from light and away from major humidity, you're going to be fine.
You're a nice guy, and that's a good thing, for Christ's sake.
So in this next sequence, what you're seeing is my DIY exposure unit, and what I'm using in this is a 30-watt LED, or not LED, UV light, and I have my design backwards on the screen. It's pressing directly against the screen with a layer of glass above the transparency paper that the design is on. And I'm going to expose this for about a minute to a minute and a half at this distance, and it's going to give me a nice bleed through. Once I take it off, you'll actually be able to see what I call a phantom of the design, and it's going to turn out really well. Alrighty, cool. So this step is going to be the washing out process. So you're going to wash out your design. You're actually going to beat through that emulsion with water pressure. Most professional settings have a what's that called? A pressure washer. I'm using a garden hose. For a DIY setup, that's really all you need. It's really variable depending on how fine detail your design is. You might find yourself washing it out for a little bit longer on higher pressure, but in general, just persistence and making sure that you can actually see that design as you keep washing it out are the two biggest things that I've noticed. And this is coming from a complete amateur. So yeah, let's get into some pressing. Alrighty, so here we go. We have our shirt and we have the cardboard in between the layers so that the paint doesn't bleed through. And in the next frame, what you'll see is me setting up the camera. You can see my whole press. What I'm using is the frame of a Riley Hopkins press. It's a really old press from the 50s. I believe the person that I got it from was using it for street sign printing, different yard signs, stuff like that. And I'm attaching, and I do a lot of DIY aligning for my shirts. It's not really a big deal to me how the press is set up, as long as the design goes through clean, and it also goes through centered and straight, and makes sure that it looks good for the customer. So yeah, here's me giving the thumbs up, and we're going to get into the actual pressing. Alrighty, so in this step what I'm doing is I'm flooding the screen with ink, and I'm trying to get my measurements down, and then I finally do my press. So the concept of flooding the screen is pretty simple. Before you actually make contact with your shirt or your poster or your garment, whatever you decide to press, you want to make sure that the screen is pushing the ink all the way through. That way you're just kind of flush and kind of just getting the fibers wet on the screen with the ink. You can also see, I'm kind of rushing it a little bit. Take your time, do nice passes. You want to make sure that it looks good, obviously. So right here, what I'm doing is the first white coat on this shirt, and came out really great. Was really proud of it. There's a little bit of blemish, but honestly, in my designs, I really enjoy the kind of unique nature of the print. All right, another very important, crucial part of the process, you really want to have your ink hit around 325 degrees Fahrenheit for about 10 seconds. So I'm flash drying it here with a heat gun. I found the best is the second setting on this heat gun. Got it at Lowe's for like 20 bucks, I think. This is a really nice step. That way your ink will not wash out. Alrighty, so here's the final product. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. Like I said, all this is DIY. It's very much for fun. This is definitely a great hobby to get into if you have a little bit of time and a lot of patience. I've attached a couple pictures of other projects I've done below for other bands, and just definitely just different cool products. I've linked my Instagram below for the screen printing account that I run. Like I said, all this is for fun, and it's a great hobby to get into if you have a little bit of time. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below, and feel free to leave a like and a sub. All right, thank you.